Before James can respond, the other employee steps forward. It's a young woman in her mid-30s, wearing the same uniform but carrying herself with quiet authority. She clears her throat, catching James's attention. "Excuse me," she says, her tone firm but measured. "I'll handle this transaction." James looks at her, confused. "It's fine, I've got it," he says, trying to brush her off. But there's something in her eyes, something that stops him mid-sentence. She turns to the elderly woman, her expression softening. "Ma'am," she says gently, "would you like some help carrying these to your car?" The older woman smiles, her gratitude evident, but James feels a strange tension in the air. He glances at the new cashier, realizing he's missed something important. Then she says something that makes the entire store pause. "You should really think before you speak, James. You never know who's listening or watching." Her words linger, leaving James frozen in place. He glances around, noticing the subtle shift in the atmosphere. Customers exchange glances, sensing that something bigger is happening. The elderly woman's composure remains, but James feels his own crumbling. He's suddenly aware that this moment is far from ordinary. James stares at the new cashier, his mind racing to figure out what she means. The elderly woman gives a small nod to the younger cashier and steps aside, but she doesn't leave. Instead, she lingers near the counter, her quiet presence drawing more attention. The tension thickens as James tries to regain his composure, his usual confidence shaken. Then, a man in a sharp suit walks in, his entrance subtle but commanding. He scans the store until his eyes land on the elderly woman. His expression softens, and he walks toward her with purpose. James watches, puzzled, as the man greets her with a respectful, "Hello, ma'am." "Everything all right?" The young cashier stiffens slightly, her eyes flicking between the man and the woman. James notices this, but still doesn't understand. "Who is he?" he mutters under his breath. The elderly woman finally speaks, her voice calm but firm. "This is my son," she says, gesturing toward the man. "And he's not just here to visit." The man turns to James, his expression unreadable but intense. "I'm the regional director of this store chain," he says. The room goes silent. James feels the blood drain from his face as the weight of the moment crashes over him. The stakes are higher than he ever imagined, and now every word he's spoken feels like it's under scrutiny. James feels a lump form in his throat as the regional director locks eyes with him. The weight of his earlier comments now feels unbearable, and he struggles to find words. "I didn't mean anything by it," he stammers, his voice barely above a whisper. The director doesn't immediately respond. Instead, he turns to the young cashier who had stepped in earlier. "You handled this well," he says, nodding approvingly. Then he looks back at James, his tone firm but measured. "Words matter, James. The way you treat people matters. This woman has more strength and dignity than you could possibly imagine, and she also happens to be my mother." The revelation hits like a thunderclap, and the entire store seems to hold its breath. James's face flushes with embarrassment and regret. "I'm so sorry," he blurts out, his voice trembling. The elderly woman steps forward, her eyes filled not with anger, but with wisdom and patience. "Sometimes a mistake is the best teacher," she says gently. "But only if you're willing to learn from it." James nods quickly, feeling both humbled and ashamed. The director adds, "This is your chance to grow, James. Don't waste it." As the elderly woman and her son walk toward the exit, the young cashier leans over and whispers to James, "You'll never look at customers the same way again, will you?" James shakes his head, knowing she's right. But just as the door swings shut behind them, the elderly woman glances back with a small smile. For a brief moment, James could swear he saw forgiveness in her eyes, and something else. A quiet challenge to be better, starting now. In a quiet corner of a bustling town, an ordinary trip to the store turned into a moment of unexpected revelation. A senior black woman, her warm smile a stark contrast to the weariness in her eyes, approached the checkout counter to purchase a humble pack of diapers. Little did she know, the cashier, a young police officer with a brash demeanor, was about to learn a profound lesson in humility. Unaware of the woman's identity and the powerful ripple her presence would cause, he made a careless remark, dismissing her purchase with a hint of condescension. The air thickened with tension as nearby customers exchanged uncomfortable glances. What followed was a brief exchange that would challenge preconceptions and uncover deeper truths about empathy and respect. As the encounter unfolds, join us on a journey where perceptions are tested, revealing the profound impact of everyday moments on the fabric of our communities. The elderly woman pauses for a moment, her hand tightening slightly around the pack of diapers. The cashier's smirk fades as her steady gaze pierces through the noise of the store. She doesn't need to raise her voice. The silence that follows is louder than any retort. Other shoppers nearby sense the shift, their curious glances flicking toward the register. The cashier, a young man in his early 20s, feels the weight of the moment but doesn't quite understand it. He looks at her again, searching for something he can't put into words. She doesn't look wealthy. Her coat is well worn, her shoes scuffed from miles walked. He assumes she's struggling to make ends meet, and for a fleeting moment, he feels a twinge of pity. But there's something else about her, something unshakable. A quiet strength that unsettles him, leaving him unaware of the lesson about to unfold. The line at the register grows restless, but the elderly woman doesn't rush. Her eyes shift to the cashier's name tag, her expression calm but unreadable. "James," she says softly, her voice steady. "Do you have a mother?" "A grandmother?" James hesitates, caught off guard by the question. "Yeah, of course," he replies, trying to sound casual, but there's a hint of unease in his tone. The woman nods, as if she already knew the answer. "Then you know how much we sacrifice for our families. Every dollar, every hour, every ounce of pride, just to make sure they have what they need." James swallows hard, unsure of what to say. Behind him, the store manager notices the growing tension but doesn't intervene, watching curiously from a distance. As the woman speaks, a new figure appears in the background. Another employee, unnoticed until now, listens intently. They've seen this scene before, but today, something feels different. The cashier has no idea that the next word spoken will change everything. James shifts uncomfortably, feeling the weight of the woman's words hanging in the air. His fingers fumble with the cash register, pretending to focus on the screen, but his thoughts are racing. The woman places the diapers on the counter, her calm demeanor unwavering, even as the line behind her grows impatient.